Get started this morning. Got everybody here. I'll call the meeting to order Thursday, September 18th, El Paso County Planning Commission. Welcome, everyone. Do we have any report items from planning?
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Megan Harrington, Planning Director. I do not have anything for you this morning. Justin can give you an update on our next meetings.
Good morning. Just want to let you know that October 2nd meeting is canceled. I don't want to say the number of the date. I want to say like the Jessica 18th maybe?
The 16th.
16th is the next meeting.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. This is a time when we allow the public to come up and talk to us about any items that are not on our agenda today. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to do that? Don't see anyone online?
No one online at this
Great.
time.
Thank you. All right, voting members today, we have Mr. Schipple, Ms. Fuller, Mr. Trowbridge, Ms. Jack, Mr. Whitney, Mr. Byers, Mr. Moraes, and myself. I'm Jay Carlson. I'm the chairman. And let's just jump in. We've got approval of our minutes from our last meeting. Anybody have any changes to those? Seeing none, we'll just take those as approved as submitted. Our first item today is, we just have consent items so far today. And the first one is agenda item 3B, file number P257, map amendment rezone for Elkview Estates rezone to RR 2.5. Would anybody like to see that pulled and heard as a regular item?
Mr. Chair, I would request that that be pulled for a regular item.
Great, thank you. We'll handle that in a moment. That'll take us on to agenda item 3C, file number SF2431, final plat venture on Venatucci filing number 1 subdivision. Anyone like to see that pulled and heard as a regular item? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Mr. Trowbridge.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As regards agenda item 3C, file number SF2431, the final plat for venture on Venatucci filing number 1 subdivision, I move that we recommend approval in accordance with the attached resolution with the finding of sufficiency with regard to water quality, quantity, and dependability, and that this item be forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners for consideration.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Moraes, thank you. All right, we'll take the vote. Mr. Schipple?
Aye.
Ms. Fuller?
Aye.
Mr. Trowbridge?
Aye.
Ms. Jack?
Aye.
Mr. Whitney?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Moraes?
Aye.
The chair votes aye, so that passes unanimously. Agenda item 3D, file number PUD SP 253, Planned Unit Development Preliminary Plan Retreat at Prairie Ridge, filing number 4. Would anyone like to see this pulled and heard as a regular item? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion on that item. One?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Schipple.
No,
that was me.
Eric.
Down
Oh,
here.
sorry.
Either
Mr.
way.
Moraes.
Mr. Chair, with regards to agenda item 3D, a file number PUD-SP Treat at Prairie Ridge, filing number 4, I move for approval in accordance with attached resolution with 6 conditions and 5 notations and a finding of sufficiency for water quality, quantity, and dependability. And this item be forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners for their consideration.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Byers, thank you. All right, we'll take the vote. Mr. Schipple?
Aye.
Ms. Fuller?
Aye.
Mr. Trowbridge?
Aye.
Ms. Jack?
Aye.
Mr. Whitney?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Moraes?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That item passes unanimously. All right. Can we hear from staff on agenda item 3B, which we're hearing as a regular item now?
Good morning, members. I'm Lacey Dean. I will be presenting this project to you for Planning and Community Development. This is for project P257 for a rezone from RR5 to RR 2.5 for Elkview Estates. As I already mentioned, I'm the planner on this project. I did this with Joe Sandstrom, an engineer from Department of Public Works. He will be presenting about drainage and transportation. If you're watching and you'd like to have input remotely, you can email your name and a reliable phone number right now to pcdhearings@elpasoco.com. The way this hearing will go is that I will present the project and how it relates to the code. The applicant will then present their need for the rezone. The public will be allowed to speak in favor, and then citizens will be allowed to speak against. The applicant will have an opportunity to rebut the citizens against, and then there will be questions for staff, and then you all will make a recommendation to approve or deny. So the request today is brought by Elk Ridge Developments for an approval to rezone 17.05 acres from RR5 to RR 2.5. It's located on Old Ranch Road, approximately 1 mile east of the intersection of Highway 21 and Old Ranch Road. I'll give you a moment to read through this criteria of approval for a rezone.
And let me just state here, if I may, we've read comments from folks that have some objections and so forth, but these criteria are really the only criteria we can look at today as far as approval goes. So issues about water and other items that come up that are not part of this criteria are really arguments for another time when if this development gets further down the road. So as you're watching this presentation, think about how your objections might fit into some of these criteria. So let's take a minute and look at those.
Are we good to move on? Okay. This is a vicinity map showing where it is in relation to, this is Powers here, or I guess Highway 21 and Old Ranch Road, and it sits right here in this area outlined in red. It is RR5 currently, and most of the surrounding area. To the south is City of Colorado Springs jurisdiction. This is a zoning map submitted by the applicant for the area they intend to rezone. So the zoning analysis, it is surrounded by RR5 properties, a couple of legal non-conforming properties as well that I will address in a moment. The request to go to RR 2.5 seems, given the fact that surrounding properties are smaller than 5 acres in that area, it could be seen as consistent with the surrounding area. There is a 5.57 acre property 600 feet west that is zoned RR 0.5, and I'll scroll back up to show you that one. This one?
No,
Oh, this one.
prior to that one, yeah. I can't quite read it. How many of those are less than 5 acres? Can you point them out?
Sorry. This one, this one, this one, this one, and this one.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. And I do have a slide later that'll go more in detail about those. Okay. So regarding the compliance with the master plan, the large lot residential place type supports 2.5 acre lots or larger, and they rely on well and septic, which is the intention with these future lots that may go in. Mostly the place type wants them to be conservative of the rural area and the feel and the protection of the environmental features. The primary land use for a large lot residential is a single family detached residential on 2.5 acre lots or larger. These are just some relevant goals that I analyzed with this project that seem to be met with the submission. Some of them won't be relevant until subdivision stage, such as infrastructure and things like that. Those things will be addressed whenever they actually come to subdivide. But otherwise, they are compliant with the 2.5 acre lot or larger and retaining those areas of natural features. In the area of change, they are in the minimal change developed area, meaning that some areas will experience development, but mostly they want to retain the natural feel of the whole area. This is where I'm going to speak to you about the surrounding lots that are smaller than 5 acres currently, including that one that was zoned RR 0.5. We were not able to find records of any kind of resolution as when that was zoned that way. I was able to find in my research some historical maps that you'll see here. The area overall was established, zoning was established in 1955. Our records are not great with these maps. I'm guessing that this map is from the 1960s or 70s. This map is from the 80s. The symbology is, I apologize, is very difficult to see, but you can see that this entire area I've outlined in red at one time was zoned A1, which supported half-acre lots. That also includes the area that we are discussing today. And then later, on a later map, which I'm assuming was just based on the graphics of it, was probably around the 80s, the area in blue is the only one that remained in the A1, which allows the half-acre lots, and the rest was rezoned to A5. So you'll see those lots, you can kind of see them on here, the smaller 2 acre, 1 acre, 1 acre, those were at one time in the area that supported half-acre lots, which is probably why they were allowed to be in place at 2 acres and 1 acres. And then when they got rezoned to A5, those were already established. Does that make sense? Okay. And I apologize, I was not able to locate any documented record of when those zoning changes happened.
Chair.
So,
Mr. Chair,
Pardon me? Yeah.
could I,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, one quick question.
Yes.
So on so non-conforming parcels, at one point, I think if I understood you correctly, your research suggests at one point they would have been conforming. They're just not conforming after it went to A5.
correct.
Okay.
So they would, that's why they're legal non-conforming, because they were in place before the zoning of the A5
Okay.
was put
Thank
over
you.
them. Yep. So for the key area, the forested area, the main motive of this is to retain the forested look of this area while also supporting limited development. The proposal of the applicants to maintain 2.5 acre lots is considered low density. And also the fact that there is kind of higher density development to the south. This could potentially be seen as a transition from higher density to the 5 acres to the north. I'll bring Joe up to discuss drainage.
Good morning, Joe Sandstrom, Associate Engineer, Department of Public Works. I was the review engineer on this project. The property in question is in the Kettle Creek drainage basin, and there are no basin or bridge fees associated with this basin. The property is not located within a regulatory floodplain, and a drainage report and grading and erosion control plan will be required with the final plat application. Any questions regarding drainage?
We had some comments from folks around concerned with drainage. Is there anything you have to say to any of those, or?
Yeah, drainage and erosion isn't considered at the rezone phase, but at the final plat phase, we'll require a drainage report, and water quality and drainage needs to be addressed to the point that it won't have any adverse impact on neighboring properties.
So it's not in a floodplain.
It is not in a floodplain, and any additional runoff generated by the imperviousness will be addressed at the final plat stage.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome. For transportation, Old Ranch Road is a paved road that is owned and maintained by the city of Colorado Springs. The 2024 Major Transportation Corridors Plan does not depict any improvements in this area. And then a traffic study was submitted for this project and no offsite improvements were required. The subdivision is subject to the El Paso County Road Impact Fee Program, and the developer shall obtain approval from the Colorado Springs for access onto Old Ranch Road. I did want to make a comment for you guys that in a lot of the opposition, it talked about the existing Studebaker Road. The applicant is proposing a new access point for this project, but the access isn't approved or determined at the rezone phase. But I wanted to notify you guys that's what we've received from the applicant, is what they're proposing, a different access. I did include a table here from the applicant's traffic impact study showing that the projected peak hour trips for AM and PM are 6 and the average daily trips are 57 for this subdivision. Are there any questions regarding transportation? Okay.
Doesn't look like it. Thanks.
Yep. Back to Lacey.
Notification for this hearing was sent to 58 adjoining neighbors on September 4th, 2025. And I believe you'll be hearing from some of them today. And then we did receive 6 letters of opposition in written form. Unless you have questions, I'll bring up the applicant.
Questions? No, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm John Romero with Galloway. Thank you for having us here today. I'm representing the owners here today on this rezone map amendment, which we're talking to you guys about. I'll try not to repeat too much of what the staff did. They did a great job explaining a lot of these items and just kind of highlight a couple other ones. As mentioned, we are located just northeast of Old Ranch Road and North Union or Milam Road. The parcel is about 17.5 acres. There are no significant natural features on this site, and it is located out of a natural floodplain. Today, we are before you today for a rezone application. As mentioned, it is existing RR5, proposing RR2.5 with about an average density of 2.8 DUs per acre. As Lacey mentioned, this was historically zoned RR 0.5. But we're assuming that this probably happened when all the master plan amendments happened, some past zoning amendments, and then it just kind of blanket zoned for that. Current access, as mentioned, and we do want to talk a little bit about this more in depth, is off a private driveway, which is Studebaker in an easement. We will propose a private access to county standards on the east side of the property and largely within the property. As we talked a little bit here, we are proposing an RR 2.5 zone district. We do believe this complements the surrounding areas. As you noted, and I think as Mr. Carlson had asked, there are quite a bit of lots around this site that are less than 2 acres and specifically right adjacent to it. There is the existing RR 0.5, and then maybe not as notably, there are some 2.5 acre lots more to the northwest, east of the property. The use is seen as transitional, as Lacey kind of discussed. Having these kind of lower lot densities moving into the 5s makes sense, but then it is also in keeping with the master plan. As discussed, this is part of the large lot residential place type, which does allow specifically 2.5 acres single family detached uses, which are considered a primary use in the master plan. Part of the master plan does encourage new development in areas with preservation. Some of the things that we wanted to present here today too is that as this moves forward and we move to final plat, there is intending to be an HOA and covenants that tie to this that do help, again, further maintain the idea and concepts of maintaining the natural character. We do, as part of master plan compliance, one of the objectives in there is to encourage development that's consistent with allowable uses. This being a primary use, it feels as if, again, it's in compliance with that. Services. So as mentioned, a lot of these items will be dealt with at final plat. 2.5 acre lots are seen to be using well and septic. So we are proposing well and septic. Preliminary studies have shown that soils out there are sufficient. And some of those concerns that were out there about the grading were specifically to the geohazard studies when we were doing test pits. So that's why the grading was happening on site, is checking the soils and making sure the soils were sufficient for the well and septic, so that we could do this as we move forward. Emergency services for this are Black Forest Fire and Rescue. We have obtained commitment letters for electric and gas on this property. And as again, we noted as we move forward, there will be a community HOA, which will further assist in kind of preservation of those areas as much as possible. Traffic, as they had mentioned too, we are proposing access on the east side that will be built to county standards. Existing Studebaker is a shared driveway, and it provides access to the north and around to the east too. This access will obviously provide access to the proposed sites, but then also probably increase access to the properties to the north, which the owners have agreed to allow some of that happen. There is a proposed turnaround that we'll look at, but again, all within the final plat parts of the project. As they mentioned, there is only adding 6 additional AM and PM traffic to this. Currently, it operates at a level of service A, but will, even after this, only go down to a level of service B or better. No queuing is anticipated with the proposed development, so no additional improvements are being required at this time. As Lacey kind of mentioned, we went through the criteria for approval for the rezone. This is seen in conformance with the master plan, as we noted with the large place types, the acreage of the lots, and what the general density. The rezone is compliant with all applicable statutory provisions. The proposed land use is compatible with the existing permitted land uses in the area. As mentioned, we just talked about some of the other development throughout the site, but looking to do this the right way, making sure it meets the zoning requirements, the master plan compliance for the 2.5 acre lots, large lot residential is key to this too. And the site is suitable for the intended use. We do feel that it's suitable just based on kind of the current master plan compliance, needs for well and septic access, and all those other items we had went through today. But with that, if I can answer any other questions for you and go from there.
Questions, anyone? I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
All right, now we move into the public comment stage. First, we'll take any comments from folks who would like to speak in favor of this item. Is there anyone here who would like to do that? Online?
No one online.
All right, and then now we'll move into anyone who'd like to speak against this item. Are there folks here that would like to do that? Great. Come on up and sign in, please, and give us your name when you start speaking.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Fabricio Colella. I'm going to try to relax because I kind of nerve-wracking right here, but that's all right. So I did send an email regarding, first item is Studebaker. Studebaker has been a private drive from the 1970s. At some point, the Studebaker street was added on Google and has been utilized. I have not been able to find it anywhere. I did send proof or a picture of what the driveway looks like. It's just a single lane dirt road that goes up, majority to my property, but there are 3 other properties that touch it as well on the way up. So I would really like to get that into consideration as not a road or street, but more of a private drive. That is, the majority of it is in my property, which is 4380 Old Ranch Road, right? And then I'm going to bring up another point, was the study that we had on the traffic. We are assuming that only 6 vehicles or 1 vehicle per home is going to be utilizing that road and access to Old Ranch Road. that's a little bit absurd. We know that these are going to be higher end homes, probably 3 vehicles, 2-3 vehicles. I own 4, just to give you an example, and I'm right off Old Ranch. And Old Ranch has gotten to be extremely difficult to drive. High traffic impact, especially during the mornings with high school, as well in the evenings, buses. There's a lot to really consider there that I think the study that they have provided is not very accurate. So I really have you guys look into that in a little bit more consideration. So that was my second point. Third point, based on the presentation, I think, and I'm not sure if you've been in Colorado Springs for a long time, 1960s, that area looked a lot different than it does today. The last 20 years, we've seen everything just south of Old Ranch. Kettle Creek has been absolutely developed. Then we have another area just next to Pine Creek High School that they keep trying to add, but they can't because there's no access to that point. So traffic in that area has gotten tremendously bad. Even over the last 5 years that I've lived there, we bought the property from people that my wife's client, and he built that house in 1970. So we have a lot of history of what that house and what that area used to look like. And I would say that you guys should take that into consideration. 1960s in Colorado Springs, 1990s in Colorado Springs is a lot different than what it looks like today. So adding 2.5-acre lots to an area that was already zoned for 5.5, I think is a little excessive. 5-acre lot makes sense, sure. But exceeding that amount of vehicles coming into Old Ranch, and Old Ranch has got no plans to be developed or widened or provide any sidewalk, anything. So that was one of my other points. And then based on the presentation as well, on the lot just west of it, there used to be a pond, and there was drainage that came from that adjacent lot, the one that's being proposed. That pond has been filled. You can look at old GPS pictures, and it used to be close to 5 acres. I think the owners are here. They can kind of prove that pond was fed by drainage from that property. And then grading. I know you guys talked about grading was also part of the presentation. I live adjacent to that property. The currently owners, or whoever it was, have already gone through my driveway, have already graded sections and cut down trees that were not in their property. And so I'm a little concerned that they're already cutting corners, and they did off the beginning when they first bought this property. So I really look at everything that they're providing in terms of proof so that it can be a pleasurable experience for the neighbors if they are eventually going to build. But my point is, I think 2.5 acres is a little excessive. I think 5-acre lots would be nice to keep consistent in that area. As again, 1965 is a lot different than 2025. That's a long time, and things have changed a lot in Colorado Springs. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great day.
Great, thank you.
My name is Nona Womack. I've lived at 4330 Old Ranch Road since November of 1966. So I know what that area was like. Wolf Ranch was across the street, which is now Cordera. City limits is on the south side of Old Ranch Road. Old Ranch Road is a 2-lane road, and it has, you can't even pull off on the side. There's ditches that run on each side of the road for the most part, that if you pull over, you'll be in trouble. In the wintertime, it's very bad. The property, I'm speaking also for Mr. Larry Powell, who resides at 4415 Old Ranch Road, and his son at 4430 Old Ranch Road, which that lane that comes off of Old Ranch Road was originally built by the people who owned that property before he did. And it is, as he said, it's a one-way lane. You have to pull off of the lane to allow another car to pass. And we already have a dozen vehicles that run up and down our lane, and we have to maintain that lane from Old Ranch Road to the entrance into the two properties, 4430 and 15. And then my house is the next lane over. And, excuse me, the trees start on, the Black Forest trees start on the north side of Old Ranch Road. And they've already cut down some of the trees, apparently. His property, the man that was just here, is north of ours, and so we don't know what's going on behind us because we don't go that far back on the road. But the increased traffic has been in the past considered to damage the trees. And at one time, I know there was information being published about the danger of Black Forest, the trees, being destroyed by too much traffic. If you think one car per house is going up that road, that's ridiculous. We all know that if there's two adults in the house, there's two cars. And if there's children, there's 3 or 4 cars. So you can consider 4 cars per house. And that increased exhaust fumes, which is harmful to our health as well as to the trees. Also, the property at 4430 and 15 is just on the west side of the lane. That property on the left, where they're going to be developed, slopes like this from Old Ranch Road to here. Then it begins to slope, and from back there, it slopes like this. That area runs right into a culvert that comes out at 4430. All of the water off of that property drains right down to that culvert. It's a small culvert, and it drains onto his property. If they change the lay of the land, it will drastically affect how that water flows. And we already have water problems at the southwest corner of 4415 property, where the water pools. There's a culvert there, but it's not adequate to drain that corner. And then across the next lane, which is my lane to 4330, the people that, the property that's owned by the Nixes, they constantly have water standing in that corner. We had, I think it was in 1985, we had such a torrential rain that my lane was covered up to the front grill of our truck across that lane in that corner where the water stands. And so all of this is going to create problems one way or the other unless they put a drainage system that will divert that water completely away from our property. I am concerned about the trees. I am concerned about the amount of exhaust because I have health issues. And also, I wrote a letter, and I can't remember everything. I sent an email. I want to address those problems, but I can't remember right now.
It's okay. We received them and we've read them.
Can you tell me what the other ones were?
I'm sorry, I'm not at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, my name is Larry Powell. I live at 4415 Old Ranch Road. My son lives at 4430 Old Ranch Road. All the drainage from the property that they are proposing to develop runs onto my property. I have the only culvert that goes underneath of Old Ranch Road. For the water to get there, it has to run across my son's property and my property. The other thing I'm concerned about is the aqua. You put in that many more wells, you're going to drain the aqua. You put in that many more septics, you're going to contaminate the aqua. Now, this has been 5-acre plots for years. I don't know why that somebody wants to change it now to 2.5 acres. It's not sufficient for enough roads, for enough septics, and for enough wells. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, gang. I'm Jeff Iverson. I own 4570 Old Ranch Road.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Jeff Giverson. Oh, I'm sorry. Jeff Giverson, owner of 4570 Old Ranch Road. I've lived there over a decade now, and when my wife and I bought, we bought for a reason. Quiet, nice, and that was the type of environment we wanted to raise our family in. And we saw Cordera go right up against Old Ranch Road. Now we hear Powers. Now we hear the kids racing up and down Old Ranch Road all the time. And that's not what we want. And I know everybody has to accept change, but that's just something we don't want to do. And far as the aquifer, when we first moved there, we had great water pressure. We don't anymore. And with 6 more wells going in, just a few hundred feet from us, that's going to just deteriorate our pressure even more, which is then in turn going to cost us money to drill a deeper well. And then far as Galloway, we have an easement from Fab's house on the north side going to our house. We're the last keyhole in that development. Is that still going to remain there?
We'll address, there's not time for questions right now, but he'll have time to rebut.
This is important. I don't want to be part of their HOA. If they're going to not allow that access to my property, and then they want the HOA and they want me to be involved in it, that I don't want that.
Okay.
Okay. So, and what is the county's vetting process when looking at a developer? What do you guys do to vet them and make sure they have adequate funds, adequate means, past history?
Again, not a question and answer time. It's just for
Okay.
time for you to
Well, then a
tell us your
land attorney
concerns.
may be necessary in order for us to combat this, which will implicate Galloway, the owner, the seller of the property, and you all, the city. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak against the item? Anyone online?
No one online.
All right. Mr. Whitney?
Mr. Chair, might it be useful to one more time put the criteria for approval up?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
Yep. And so, as I stated in the beginning, these are the criteria that we look at. Really, the 2 most impactful, I think, are that it's in conformance with the master plan, and that it is compatible with the zone districts in all directions. So we'll close the public comment now, and then the applicant can come up and rebut.
Thank you very much, John Romero Galloway. And thank you, neighbors, for the feedback. I think that's important to the process. But I also want to remind everybody, Part of the process with the final plat, as we discussed, is going to be drainage. It's going to be water quality, proving water sufficiency, proving that that site can handle well and septic. So that is something that will be vetted through the subdivision process. All valid concerns, drainage specifically, when we do develop this lot, drainage criteria will need to be met through El Paso County standards. So whether it be water quality, detention, at this point, I think early studies are showing we're just gonna have to do water quality. So any extra drainage that happens on the site will be vetted through that process, and then we can increase it above historic. So that will have to be vetted, dealt with on the properties for any additional impervious surface. So I think that does deserve to be answered to help people on that. And then the concerns with access, we can't close any access off that's legal. So we would keep access that is legally there in place and then add the access that's needed for the property. And additionally, in regard to the HOA valid concern, the HOA only applies to that subdivision. So anybody else having to pay for improvements would not be required. This developer is going to pay the impact fees to the roads to Old Ranch. It is a city road. And I think to Fabricio's point, I totally agree with him. I have 4 kids. We have 4 cars. I get it. 6 trips seems weird. That is not the number. I think the number everybody needs to key on is the 57 weekday trips that's added. And then looking at that and moving from a level of service A to a level of service B, which is still adequate and doesn't require those triggers for these other improvements. This is being discussed with the city throughout the process too. So there's the right people in the rooms at the right times to answer these questions and make sure that we're accountable for these improvements and what has to happen on the site. Thank you.
Thanks. Any questions? The applicant? Seeing none, any discussion? Ms. Fuller?
I would like for the neighbors in opposition, can they get with you, Joe, and learn about what are the criteria regarding water and drainage? And I know that, like, if you haven't seen this before, it can be alarming. But I understand the rules are that when you build something, you have to control the water flow so it's not worse than before you built. And I know that's not part of this review criteria, but to maybe have an opportunity to ease some of that anxiety of what safeguards are in place and what rules are going to have to be complied with, I think that would be helpful.
Yes, for sure. More than happy to meet with anybody after this hearing. I did have a thought as the discussion was happening. We have a El Paso County drainage frequently asked question sheet that I'd be more than happy to print a copy for anybody here that would like one. And I feel like it would help address some of the existing drainage problems that seem to be occurring in this area.
Okay, Ms. Dean, maybe you can just email that to everyone that opposed proactively so they don't
yeah.
have to ask for it.
Oh, for sure.
I really truly believe in informed citizenry and having them have objection based on merit, not on they're scared. And I realize there's always emotion when it's something right next door to you. And we've heard many times about we moved out here for a reason. Development is growing in this county and it's coming. And I actually have moved over development stuff too, so I get it. But thank you for that.
And I realized I didn't answer the first part of your question, but yes, as we had said before, when this comes in for subdivision, they're required to do a drainage report showing that there's no adverse impact to neighboring properties. So that will be included at the final plat stage.
And they're going to have to show that they have enough water for the new well that they're going to drill as well, just so they can't just arbitrarily drill. There's like lots of regulation.
Right. That's
Okay.
more on the planning side, but yes, they will have to do water finding.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Trowbridge?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Want to thank everybody for coming and offering your commentary today. We certainly appreciate it, and we did read all of the comments that were sent in. We do get a package, and that's part of our preparation. Y'all asked a lot of good questions today. Unfortunately, as you can look at the review criteria, that's not some of those things are not topics for rezoning. They're more appropriate to the next stage, which is the preliminary plan. So I would encourage you all, if you're not familiar with the county's EDARP system, that's the online electronic system where the developers drop all of those reports and staff uses that as a file sharing location. So you all, and it's open to the public, so you can all go out there and look at the water report, the drainage, the traffic, all of that stuff is open and available to you. So if you're interested in the next phase, the preliminary plan, I encourage you to watch the EDARP site and keep up to date on those things. Water, as was just mentioned, we don't have much control over the water, so we can't say yes or no pretty much on that. That is a state level function. The state water engineer controls that, and if they tell us that the property can support that and the property owner has the rights to the water, we can't say no. I will remind people that El Paso County is more stringent than the state. The state requires a 100-year supply from an aquifer. El Paso County, though, requires a 300-year commitment or availability for that water. So we try and do what we can. And so, again, thank you all for being here. We do appreciate your comments.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Morris.
Just to piggyback on what Mr. Trowbridge said, if these, during the preliminary plan, if these things that the county is going to look at, these criteria, you know, the traffic, the water, the, you know, in terms of water, if the quality isn't there, the quantity isn't there, the development would stop at that point because they can't go past that part. So if the traffic shows, and it sounds like there's already doing a little bit of work ahead towards the preliminary plan, but if the traffic were to show that it doesn't, you know, that it's going to be a problem, it's going to go to a level of safety that's not acceptable, then the developer would have to go and either stop the project or go and put money in to fix the issue to get it back up to a level of sufficiency and a level of that's needed to go. So that's, and I always say, again, this rezoning is about, if you look at the criteria up there, it's a lot about compatibility. You know, conformance to the master plan. Is it compatible with the existing and permitted land use and zoning districts? That's what the question is now. The next step is all that other stuff that comes in, all that the other parts of the project that have to satisfy. But asking the questions now is good. The developer hears it, he hears the concerns, and hopefully works together and understands the concerns, because you guys are really the boots on the ground that are in that local area, that know that local area better than really anybody else that's there. And then the staff gets to hear it. So again, they put a critical eye on everything that comes through. But it just, you know, if there's something that's really special, you know, maybe they get that twice over on it. So that's all I want to add.
Great, thanks. Anyone else? I'll make a few. You know, we look at areas like this all the time that are zoned for 5-acre lots, and people want to build more houses on them. And typically, we run into the master plan and the areas of change and so forth that we've looked at these areas and said, okay, this is an area that's going to develop in the future, and so it's an area of change. Well, this is not that. This, through that master plan function, this was defined as an area of minimal change, saying that we're not going to alter the essential character of the area, and I think this does do that. So I'd like, you know, we need to fight for the open areas that we do have, because we're losing a lot of those as the town grows east and so forth. So I think the rezoning back in the 80s to the A5, that stated what the intent was for that area. And I'd like to see us preserve that. So those are my thoughts on this project. All right, any other comments? Yes, where are you? I'm sorry, sir, we can't take any more public comments right now, okay? Thanks. I'll entertain a motion.
Just real quick, this is just a step of recommendation, either for or against. It goes to the Board of County Commissioners. So you heard what the developer said. You have your comments. You get another chance, another bite at the apple for this, and to bring any of those comments and questions up towards at the Board of County Commissioners meeting.
And again, to tag on that, you want to move your comments toward the approval criteria. A lot of these other items, water and drainage and whatnot, come further down the road if it gets approved. So concentrate on the approval criteria. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Schipple.
with regards to agenda item 3B, file number P257 for the map amendment rezoning Elkview Estates rezone RR 2.5, I move for approval in accordance with the attached resolution with 2 conditions and 2 notations and no finding for water sufficiency and quality and dependability. And that this item be forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
All right, thank you. A second. Take the vote. Mr. Schipple?
Aye.
Ms. Fuller?
Aye.
Mr. Trowbridge?
Aye.
Ms. Jack?
Aye.
Mr. Whitney?
Aye.
Mr. Byers?
Aye.
Mr. Moraes?
Aye.
Chair votes nay. Well, so this item passes from a 7-1 item. And that is all we've got today. So thanks very much. We are adjourned.